All right, so for any founder out there building that very first team, it's one of the biggest moments, right? Today, we're going to break down exactly how you can get it right from the very beginning. So you've built something great. That's awesome. But now you've hit that point where your vision is officially bigger than what your own two hands can handle. It's a great problem to have, but wow, hiring your first employee. That's a huge step. It can feel pretty daunting. But don't worry. We're going to walk through this whole journey together, step by step, even if you're a one-person show without a big HR department to back you up. Okay, so where do we even begin? Well, before you even think about scheduling interviews, you've got to create a rock-solid blueprint for the job. And this isn't just paperwork or busy work. This is the absolute foundation for your entire hiring process. And it all starts with the job description. Now, here's a common trap for founders. It is so tempting to write a job description with a specific person in mind, maybe a friend or a former colleague. But the best practice here is to focus on the objective needs of the role itself. What does the business actually need? Defining those expectations and outcomes, that's what creates a stable foundation that's going to last, no matter who ends up in that seat. So how do we actually do that? Great question. Some really solid guidance from the University of Edinburgh breaks it down into 5 key principles. First, like we just said, focus on the role, not a person. Second, think of it as a summary, not a giant laundry list of every little task. Third, use facts, not subjective judgments. Fourth, keep your language simple and welcoming. And number 5, this one is so important, be inclusive and avoid bias. Nailing these 5 things will help you attract the right people and set super clear expectations from day one. And speaking of being inclusive, the words you choose matter so much more than you might think. Some words that seem totally neutral can actually carry an unconscious gender bias. So for example, think about swapping a word like competitive for something like goal-oriented. Or instead of just lead, you could try drive or steer. These little tweaks can make a huge difference, seriously widening your talent pool and helping you build a more diverse and, frankly, a much stronger team. Okay, so you did it. You crafted the perfect role description, you went through the process, and you found the right person. Awesome. But now comes the hard part for a lot of founders. The real challenge, letting go. It's time to talk about mastering the art of delegation. When we hear the word delegation, most of us just think about handing off tasks from a to-do list. But it is so much more than that. The real essence of it is trusting your new team member, giving them the discretion to use their own judgment to solve problems. You're not just distributing work, you're distributing authority and responsibility too. And that brings up an absolutely crucial point. It's called the parity principle. All it means is that the authority you give someone has to be equal to the responsibility you assign them. I mean, think about it. Responsibility without authority is, well, it's pretty much meaningless, right? You can't hold someone accountable for an outcome if you don't give them the power to make the decisions they need to make to get there. Okay, another key principle to make sure delegation doesn't turn into total chaos is something called unity of command. Sounds a little formal, but the idea is super simple. Each employee should have only one direct supervisor, just one boss that they report to and get instructions from. This avoids that whole too many cooks in the kitchen problem, prevents conflicting priorities, and creates a really clear line of accountability. But look, let's be real. Delegation is a total balancing act. On the one hand, it's an incredible tool. It motivates and develops your people, it frees up your own time, it builds trust. But on the other hand, there's risk. Mistakes might happen. And at the end of the day, as the founder, you are still ultimately responsible for the outcome. The key isn't to avoid that risk entirely, because you can't. It's to learn how to manage it. So you've hired someone great, you're starting to empower them. What's next? Well, the next phase is absolutely critical, and it's all about their first impression of your company. You know what they say? You never get a second chance to make a first impression. So let's talk about how to onboard like a pro and make their first days and weeks a huge success. And the good news is you don't need some fancy, expensive HR program to do this well. It really just boils down to 4 simple, structured steps. 1, get all that boring paperwork done before day 1. 2, have their workstation totally ready to go. Laptop, accounts, tools, everything. 3, create an agenda for their first day so they feel welcomed and not lost. And 4, this is a great one. Assign them a manager for the official stuff and a work buddy for all those small informal questions they might feel weird asking. This simple system creates a repeatable professional experience for every single person you hire. And remember, the real goal of onboarding, as Harvard Business Review points out here, is to create a clear path. It shouldn't just be a one-day info dump. It's a structured journey that smoothly transitions a new hire from that initial training phase into the same professional development path that all of your employees are on. It's about integration, not just orientation. All right, for our last section, let's tackle a very modern challenge. How in the world do you build a strong, cohesive culture when your team isn't always in the same room? This is all about fostering connection in a hybrid world. First things first, you have to choose your model, and there is no single right answer here. You could be office first, where the physical office is the main hub. You could be remote first, where everything is designed to be location independent from the ground up. Or you could land on a flexible hybrid model that's built on trust and autonomy. The right choice really depends on your company's goals and the kind of work that you do. But no matter which model you choose, there is one major danger that you have to constantly guard against: proximity bias. It's this unconscious and very human tendency for managers to favor the employees they physically see every day. This can create a really unfair two-tiered system and put your remote workers at a serious disadvantage. So how do you fight it? With clear, intentional rules. A formal policy is your best defense. Do things like set core hours for collaboration. Make office days purposeful, for teamwork, not just for sitting at a desk alone. Mandate a digital-first rule for meetings. If one person is remote, everyone joins from their own device to level the playing field. And most importantly, train your managers to evaluate people based on their outcomes and the results, not just their physical presence in an office. And that really brings us to the final, crucial question you should be asking yourself as you build your team. Are you creating a culture that values and measures what people achieve? Or are you building one that simply rewards people for showing up? The answer to that question is going to define everything, not just where your team works, but how they work, and ultimately, how successful you'll all be together.